What happens when WWE superstars are let loose inside a corporate tower during a global pandemic, with briefcases suspended from the roof? You get the most ridiculous, hilarious, and downright surreal Money in the Bank match of all time. Today we're reliving the most absurd moments from the 2020 Money in the Bank, from food fights to people being thrown off the building. Yes, really. With the world on lockdown, WWE couldn't host its traditional pay-per-views. So, what did they do? They took the Money in the Bank ladder matches to the top, literally. The men's and women's matches happened simultaneously inside WWE headquarters. Two groups of superstars, the men and the women, started on the ground floor and brawled their way to the roof. Right away, Asuka launched herself off the second floor balcony onto her opponents before fleeing in the elevator, forcing her rivals to take the stairs. On the men's side, Baron Corbin tried to decapitate Daniel Bryan by hurling a weight plate at his head. Fortunately, he missed and shattered the gym mirror instead. Somewhere around the second floor, Styles finds himself in a gothic-looking conference room, complete with a coffin. It's basically a tribute to The Undertaker. Instantly, Styles has these nightmarish flashbacks to his Boneyard match with Taker. Cue another spooky superstar, Aleister Black, who emerges from the shadows like he lives there. It's haunting, it's weird, and it makes you wonder, what use could that press conference room possibly have? Speaking of Taker, Rey Mysterio had a weird run-in with Taker's original manager, Brother Love, who was just finishing up at the urinal. In one of the most ridiculous and memorable moments from the match, both groups, the men and the women, stumble into catering, where Paul Heyman is quietly enjoying a feast fit for a king. Dana Brooke, still dizzy from the framed portrait smashed over her head, bumps a sandwich out of Heyman's hands and into Otis's meaty clutches. Otis starts convulsing at the sight of the food, before yelling "food fight" and launching a plate directly into Heyman's face. Sandwiches fly, Shayna Baszler chokes out Rey Mysterio in this weird Hell's Kitchen spinoff, and in the end, Nia and Otis have this really odd face-off while Otis ravages a sandwich in real time. 5-star cuisine, 5-year-old energy. Elsewhere, poor Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles accidentally bust into Vince McMahon's office mid-brawl. The chairman is pissed. He demands that they leave before sanitizing his hands. Of course, you gotta stay with protocol. Bryan and Styles tidied up the office, putting the chairs back where they found them before fleeing with their tails tucked. Outside Vince's office, they mock each other for acting cowardly before resuming their fistfight. Meanwhile, Asuka had already hijacked the elevator at the start of the match because she's brilliant, and while everyone else took the stairs like suckers, Asuka just zoomed to the top floor. After a few rooftop brawls caused by some of Asuka's opponents catching up, you get this really weird moment between Asuka and Baron Corbin. Both of them climb the ladder. There's two briefcases hanging there, one for the men and one for the women, but instead of, both winning the match, Baron decides to try and stop Asuka from cashing in. Asuka just slaps the crap out of Baron Corbin, knocks him off the ladder, grabs her briefcase, and she's got it. Now, while the women's match had concluded, the men's was still going on. Let's talk about the most inexplicably insane moment of the night. When Baron Corbin just throws Rey Mysterio and Aleister Black off the roof. Just casually. No big deal, two human beings just yeeted into the night sky like Team Rocket. What was with Baron and trying to murder his co-workers? WWE later summed it up by saying that Black and Mysterio had landed on a nearby rooftop. If this were real, Corbin would be doing 25 to life, but in WWE, just another weekend on lockdown, I guess? When it finally came down to it, AJ Styles and Baron Corbin were grappling for the briefcase at the top. They unhook it, but both drop it. And who catches it? Otis. That's right. Otis wins Money in the Bank not by climbing the ladder, but because the briefcase fell into his arms. Like a cheesy rom-com where the love interest trips and lands in someone's embrace. It was the most Otis ending possible. If a ham sandwich had been inside the briefcase, the man might have cried. 2020's Money in the Bank wasn't just a match. It was a beautiful, chaotic fever dream. Food fights, rooftop deaths, sanitizer etiquette. In a year where everything felt upside down, WWE gave us something so absurd that it actually made sense. And honestly, we're glad they did. It was weird, it was wild, and it was one of the most entertaining train wrecks in wrestling. Let us know which moment made you laugh hardest, and let us know who you think is most deserving of winning the Money in the Bank ladder matches in 2025. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves their wrestling with a side of mayhem. Look back every week for new interviews, new lists. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you enjoy all the great things that wrestling has in store. Okay, scratch that, because there is one more thing I want to talk about in more depth pertaining to the 2020 Money in the Bank. When they had Otis win by that sort of bizarre drop in your hands, I'm the winner manner, it doesn't seem like they really had a plan after the fact. For those who might be a little bit newer to the WWE, before Otis was in Alpha Academy, he was one half of a tag team called Heavy Machinery with Tucker. Otis and Tucker were separated in the WWE draft later that year, with Otis staying on Raw, Tucker moving over onto SmackDown. Then in September began a storyline where The Miz and John Morrison stole the Money in the Bank briefcase from Otis. From there, the payoff is a match at Hell in the Cell between Otis and The Miz, with the Money in the Bank briefcase on the line. Here's where things go south for Otis. Tucker betrays his former tag team partner at the end of the match, and Miz leaves with the Money in the Bank briefcase. So, from May to October, you had Otis as the Money in the Bank briefcase holder, at least in spirit, and now you've given it to The Miz. It really just seemed like the WWE had this funny spot plan, but no real idea on what to do afterwards, and no real interest in committing to Otis. It did produce kind of a strange moment for The Miz, though. The Miz goes on to cash it in unsuccessfully at TLC in a match between Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles, but then he's actually given the briefcase back because John Morrison technically is the one who handed the briefcase over to the referee and not The Miz. Then at Elimination Chamber, after Bobby Lashley gets through beating the crap out of Drew McIntyre, The Miz sneaks in, cashes in the briefcase, and becomes world champion once again. Here's the crazy part. For as much as some people might not put The Miz in that level of top-tier main event world champions, he is the first ever two-time Grand Slam champion in WWE history, and this cash-in is what did it. The reign only lasted 8 days. He was beaten by Bobby Lashley, and there it goes. So in the span of several months, you have Otis win the briefcase just to drop it to The Miz, who loses the world title 8 days later. But in that time, you have The Miz set a record, a first-time achievement that any world champion would be thrilled to have. It was a really weird situation. It kind of speaks to the abrupt stop and start booking of WWE at that time, and I feel like it paints an interesting narrative of what the WWE was going through during the pandemic. Now, here's the real outro. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Where is Karrion Kross in this men's Money in the Bank ladder match? I don't know, but it's cool to see main eventers like Seth Rollins in there. I feel like it gives it more stakes. Hope you guys enjoy Money in the Bank. Everything else on the horizon. We'll see you soon.